this is Dean Butler. You're listening to TV Confidential.
Ed Roberts with a reminder that Pat Boone will join us at the top of the hour. Be able to stay tuned for that. We'll also welcome Dawn Moore in our second hour. Dawn Moore, daughter of Clayton Moore, the actor known around the world as the Lone Ranger. And speaking of the Lone Ranger, we will wrap up our first hour by playing our remaining moments with Nick Nugent. Nick Nugent, author of The Knight Rider Companion Abridged Edition, everything you want to know about the classic TV series starring David Hasselhoff, Edward Mulhare, and the voice of William Daniels that series creator Glenn Larson once described as an updated version of the Lone Ranger. Knight Rider Companion Abridged Edition, available from our friends at Black Pond Press. You can also find it at Amazon.com, BarnesNoble.com, wherever books are sold online. And it is abridged in the sense that, and you point this out very thoroughly in your preface for the book, Nick, there are certain things that you had in the original edition of the book that you could not include in the updated edition of the book because of licensing rights. Author to author, I understand how that works. So, but you being a very enterprising fellow, you were able to augment that and make up for that, compensate for that with material in the new edition that was not in the original edition, and that makes it stand out on its own. So that is why it has the unusual title of Abridged, updated yet abridged.
I get ribbed for it all the time, and rightfully so. The way I feel about it is it's shorter in some ways and longer than others. For everything that I had to take out, unfortunately, I wanted to put something back in.
Yeah.
When Black Pond Press and I originally discussed putting this book out, we had to make certain compromises, like it couldn't be in color. The rights to publishing certain images change over time, and not every image of Knight Rider out there is owned by NBC either. There are individual photographers with their own set of rights and conditions for using their work. These are all things I had to learn with the first book. Along with getting into the meat and potatoes of the series, it was very much a learning experience. So there are certain things in the first book that it kind of haunts you because you get something wrong and you wish you can change it. And the Abridged Edition gave me that a chance to take another swing. Exactly. And correct those oversights and set the record straight. But also, in the time it took from the first book in 2008 to the Abridged Edition in 2021, I had met so many new people from the cast and crew of Knight Rider, and it was vitally important for me to include my new friends like Jeff Osterhage and Catherine Hicklin, who played Stevie in Let It Be Me and the Son of Roses. Jeff Osterhage was the driver of Car and Kid vs. Car. And one individual who I'd like to specifically point out is Stephen E. D'Souza, who is best known as writing the screenplays for Commando, The Running Man, and Die Hard, as well as directing and writing the Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia. He really wanted to tell his experience on Knight Rider, and no one ever asked him about Knight Rider, so he sort of jumped at the chance to approach me to tell his story. And it is exclusive in this book, and it's in depth. It will tell you what it feels like to work on the set of Knight Rider, what the difference between the sets are, and most importantly, I know a lot of fans are very curious, the origin of the famous Knight Semi, which was called the Flag Mobile Command Center. In the show, they just basically call it the Semi, the big black semi-truck with a nice giant gold chess piece emblem on the side that Kit used to pull into for repairs.
Of all the people you talked to, either for the original edition of this book, Nick, or for the abridged, updated edition that's now available through Black Pond Press, is there any one person that you learned the most from, or did you learn from everybody?
I would say I learned from everybody that goes beyond just the cast and crew. Two of my best friends, A.J. Palmgren and Joe Huth, known as the Knight Rider historian, they have a wealth of knowledge, especially on the cars, from one scene to the next, which car was doing turbo boost, which car was doing stunts, which car had what's called the blind drive seats, which ones, were used to do the jumps from ramp to ramp. And speaking to them, I was able to learn so much more about the show. They really are the experts when it comes to understanding the nuts and bolts of how Knight Rider came together and the progression and the timeline. Everything from Kit being on display at Universal Studios and how that came to be, to actually finding the real Knight Semi, the screen-used Knight Semi from the show. They found it, they bought it, and it's actually in the process of being restored right now. And I'm very happy to be a part of that process.
Why do you think Knight Rider continues to endure, Nick?
Knight Rider continues because, as I mentioned before, it offers us an escape from our problems, an escape from the negativity of reality, and it gives wholesome family lessons, moral lessons that keep us on the right path, and fight for the positive choice, with a positive voice when you can, and to think outside of yourself. I believe making a difference is not global, it's incremental. It's the little things you do that make a global difference. But you can make a difference by performing one random act of kindness a day. Just help somebody find their smile, expecting nothing in return. Because you never know how that kindness can affect people that you'll never meet or never see. But yet you've impacted their life in a positive way because you were there. One of the famous things Glenn used to say is, darling, you can't win if you aren't there.
That's right. Is there anything about the book, Nick, that I haven't asked you that you'd like our listeners to know about?
The book is, it's called The Knight Rider Companion because it is designed to be a companion to the TV show. Even if you've seen an episode 100 times over, you can always learn something new, especially with the trivia guide. It's also a great reference book if you're building a replica. That's why there's a Knight Rider fonts section. Or if you create or host Knight Rider events, I've been involved in the Knight Rider fandom for almost 17 years now. And I've done everything from designing artwork to event logos to posters, T-shirts, just everything that inspired me about the show. But I also wanted to put things out there that were show accurate. Some of these toy companies, they cut a lot of corners. Mm-hmm. And I really pray for the day we finally get a full-size Knight Semi toy that looks like the show, because I would be over the moon with that. As far as the book goes, it's shorter in some ways, longer than others. I feel very happy with how it turned out. I put a year's worth of work into it. It was originally, it's called Abridged Edition because it was originally going to be much smaller. It was going to be a stripped-down version of the first book. And one of those lessons I mentioned I learned is that when you lay a book out in a program like Microsoft Word, as my dad originally did, it's extremely unforgiving when it comes to putting in images.
Yeah.
I thought I could just take out a few chapters I didn't want in there and then add a few extra things. But I wound up having to rebuild the entire manuscript from the ground up with the older manuscript to work with for the most part. But it grew so big because I just decided that I wanted to get everything out of the Knight Rider basement. We only have so much time in our lives, and like Glenn Larson, you got to keep moving. You can't just stick and resonate on one achievement. You got to, go to the next thing and evolve to the next thing. So when I'm ready to move on, and I have a fantasy series I've been wanting to do for quite some time, I want to leave behind no regrets. And I think that the Knight Rider Companion Abridged Edition is the most complete visual Knight Rider book that you'll find out there. but it also makes a great companion to other Knight Rider books that are out there. I don't believe in competition. I think that collectively we all bring something greater and more positive to the understanding of this show. So I encourage customers and Knight Rider fans out there to get all the Knight Rider books, because you'll find there's always something in there for somebody.
Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. One more item. Are you starting a company in an emerging market or developing something new? Do you have intellectual property but aren't sure how to protect it? Reach out to our friends at Tectonic Law. They offer rock-solid representation for groundbreaking industries who need help capturing and protecting their full portfolio of intellectual property and intangible assets, including trademark rights, brand assets, copyright rights, publicity rights, and privacy rights. Tectonic Law streamlines the complex intricacies of intellectual property and business law in easy-to-understand terms that will help you and your company form a concrete plan of action to secure and protect the value of your brand and your creative work product. Tectonic Law is licensed to practice throughout the state of California. They also practice before such tribunals as the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. Go to tectoniclaw.com, tectoniclaw.com, to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock-solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
The Knight Rider Companion Abridged Edition, available from our friends at Black Pawn Press. You can also find it at Amazon.com, BarnesNoble.com, where books are sold online. Pat Boone will join us when we come back. Plus, we'll welcome Dawn Moore, daughter of Clayton Moore, the actor known around the world as the Lone Ranger. All that and more when we come back for hour number 2 of TV Confidential. Please stay with us.